that's a very, and Brad mentioned one, is a very, maybe a good way to consider to go.
So if I may just make additional little comment on the flow index, just as an example, and I'm a little bit of an outsider, so I don't quite know everything that's happened, but typically there are many different independent indices you could come up with, and hopefully the one that works best statistically and has the strongest mechanistic basis is the one you want to choose. But that's, you don't get there by having one proposed and just taking it. You get there by actually working in a collaborative, just dialogue-y way, but with actually working with the data, you know. So the reverse flows seem like, and again, I'm a little bit of an outsider on this. The reverse flows using averages seem really maybe not the way to go. And an example index you might use is how many hours a day is the flow going the wrong way, rather than what's the average per day. So you use slightly different indices, and you might find that it works a lot better. But it's, again, still not that useful until you actually can explain, well, why is that? Well, I can think of good reasons why the number of hours per day is a better index than an average. So we have to get, not we, but somebody has to get dirty with the data in a trusted situation where all parties can interact and hopefully, you know, trust each other somewhat.
Yeah, you haven't been out here very long, have you?
Are you contemplating, Felicia, or are you? No pressure.
I was just curious, in the last presentation of the day, there was a discussion of the 2005 study that it said everybody was relying on that study, and they said there were problems with that study. Were you listening to that?
The fishing game. It was the
The
fishing
fishing
game study versus there were three other, a 2001, a 2008, and a 2010 studies that were better than the Fish and Game one. Or maybe it was Fish and Wildlife. I'm not sure.
That's something I can comment on. So those studies have different purposes. The Fish and Game report, and I don't think I know it as well maybe as the previous presenters do, but I do know that that was looking at the relationship between escapement and juvenile production earlier in relation to flows. So whereas some of the other studies were codewire tags, so there's specific assessments of survival through the delta with different inflows and exports. So they're very different kinds of studies. I've read that Fish and Game 2005 report, and I tend to think there's something real there in terms of the relationship between adult salmon returns and flow. I don't doubt that there's some issues with exactly how you analyze that. I never like to see a study just be criticized and then discarded. I'd like to see somebody do the analysis the right way and see what it says, and it is a little troubling that nobody's done that. The fact that it hasn't been done suggests to me that maybe the answer is not a happy one.
I think one of the other criticisms of that was that it was looking at just a part of the salmon's life cycle with a limited amount of information, and it wasn't a full life cycle model, which is one of the major criticisms of the model.
I think I reviewed that at the time. I think I was one of the reviewers. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't, maybe that's not public, I don't know. And so there actually is a new model coming, and there's someone here who's familiar with it, which I also was a reviewer on. So there has been some response to that, and that's about all I know about it. So there should be more to it than that older study.
Well, great. I just
Somebody behind you that may have an opinion.
I just wanted to hear more about it, given that the point was made that we were relying on it a lot. So I want to understand.
Good afternoon. My name is Chad Dibble, and I'm with the Department of Fish and Game. And Dean Marston is actually the person who has been working on that model for many, many years. And Mr. O'Loughlin's comments and presentation, again, is something that we have continually rebutted and provided the board many comments and information on, and we'd be happy to present that to you again and pull up some for your staff to sort of pass along to you guys as far as where we are in that status and what we've done and sort of the revisions that have come out of that model, and as Mr. Rose talked about, where we're at with the review process and where we're at in the status. And we've actually told you within the last year that we would come back to you and be happy to present that information to you as it progresses, and it has been progressing. So we can do that. We're not ready today. Again, O'Loughlin's comments on San Joaquin issues and some of the flow stuff, it was our understanding that flow was phase 1, this is phase 2. We weren't discussing flow, so Mr. Dean Marston is not here today. He did not even come to this workshop. So we could present that to you. We'd be happy to come in and talk to you and give you an update if you'd like. But for now, at a minimum, we'll go ahead and talk with staff, with Diane, and get you the latest information that we submitted and present that to you again.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. You sure? Thank you very much. Thank you all for participating. I've said this before at other workshops. You know, when you have a room full of people that have different opinions, civility goes a long ways with me, and I appreciate people presenting their point of view in a civil manner, even though they may not agree with somebody else. It's helpful, and this was very informative to all of us. So thank you, and thank you to our panel. It was very professional.